Have you ever felt like you're stuck in a cycle of stress, frustration, or constantly chasing approval? What if I told you that by letting go of just a few key habits, you could unlock a life of inner peace and resilience? That's exactly what Stoicism teaches us. Welcome to Endure Mindset, where we dive into the timeless wisdom of Stoicism and how you can use it to navigate the challenges of modern life. In today's video, we'll explore 5 things you need to stop doing if you want to truly embrace Stoicism and find lasting peace. Let's get started. Stop worrying about external opinions. Have you ever found yourself lying awake in the dead of night, the world around you silent and still, yet your mind bustling with activity? Have you ever replayed past conversations over and over in your head, dissecting every word, every gesture, every facial expression, all in a futile attempt to decode what the other person might think of you? This is an all too common human tendency, one that we've all been guilty of at some point or another. And from a Stoic perspective, it's one of the most destructive habits we can indulge in. Stoicism is built on a fundamental understanding of what falls within our control and what doesn't. It urges us to separate the wheat from the chaff, to discern between things we can influence and those we cannot. And let's be brutally honest here. Other people's opinions, they are as beyond our control as the weather or the tide. You can't manipulate how others perceive you or what they choose to think about you. The only things within your control are your thoughts, your actions, and your reactions. Stoicism serves as a gentle reminder that if we truly seek peace, tranquility, and contentment, we must ceaselessly endeavor to stop concerning ourselves with external validation. Marcus Aurelius, one of the titans of Stoic philosophy, once pointed out the absurdity of how we prioritize others' opinions over our own. He remarked, "We all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinion than our own." Ponder upon this for a moment. Why do we grant such immense power to opinions that, in the grand scheme of things, bear little to no weight? If you tether your life to constantly seeking external validation, you become nothing more than a puppet dancing on strings held by others. You lose your sense of inner freedom. Instead, you find yourself constantly shifting and adapting to fit in, to please others, to be liked. The Stoics would argue that this is a roadmap to misery, not peace. The moment you liberate yourself from the need for approval from others, you reclaim your inner freedom. Living a life dictated by the judgments of others will only lead you down a rabbit hole of frustration, insecurity, and dissatisfaction. What truly holds significance is living a life that aligns with your principles and values. Embracing this philosophy, however, is not an overnight process. It requires time, patience, and a conscious effort to shift your perspective. You must consistently remind yourself of the futility of seeking approval and strive to find contentment within. This internal journey is challenging but rewarding as it leads you towards self-sufficiency and inner peace. Here's a practical tip. The next time you find yourself ensnared in the web of worrying about someone's opinion of you, pause for a moment. Take a deep breath and ask yourself this simple question. Is this within my control? If the answer is no, and it most certainly will be, remind yourself that your focus should be on what you can control, your actions and reactions. Remember, your peace does not stem from the approval of others. It emerges from within you. Cease complaining about circumstances. We all have those days when nothing seems to go right, and it's tempting to complain. There's always something to gripe about, whether it's traffic, the weather, or a difficult colleague. But here's the hard truth. Complaining doesn't change anything. It's wasted energy. Stoicism teaches us to embrace the elements in our lives that are beyond our control and to concentrate on how we respond to them. It proposes an acceptance of reality rather than a futile resistance against it. Complaining is, at its very core, a refusal to accept reality. It's as if we are defiantly proclaiming, "I refuse to accept this reality, and will squander my energy fruitlessly fighting against it." The inherent flaw in this approach is that no amount of complaining can alter the facts. This resistance only paves the way for additional suffering. Consider for a moment the Stoic principle of amor fati, the love of fate. It encourages us to accept what life throws at us and embrace it wholeheartedly. Yes, this includes even the most challenging experiences. Stoics believed that every event, regardless of its difficulty, harbors growth potential. So, instead of grumbling about your circumstances, challenge yourself with this question: how can I utilize this situation to improve myself? The renowned philosopher Epictetus once said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." When we complain, we confine ourselves to a passive role. Stoicism, on the other hand, propels us towards an active stance in life. Complaining also has a detrimental effect on the people around us. It spreads negativity like an infectious disease. But imagine if we could meet adversity with calm acceptance. We would not only enhance our own lives, but also inspire those around us to follow suit. Don't allow yourself to be at the mercy of circumstances. Instead, rise above them. You may not be able to control when it rains, but you can certainly decide whether you carry an umbrella or how you choose to enjoy a rainy day. Here's a practical tip. Hold yourself back the next time you feel the urge to complain. Ask yourself, what will this complaint achieve? And channel that energy into finding a constructive response. Focus on how you can turn this situation into a learning experience or an opportunity for growth. Explore new horizons, seek lessons amidst chaos, and let every challenge sculpt you into a better version of yourself. Avoid emotional overreactions. Emotions are a part of life, and it's natural to feel them deeply. However, the Stoics taught that while we may not control our initial emotional reactions, we do control how we choose to respond. Avoiding emotional overreactions is key to maintaining inner peace and making sound decisions. Imagine an impulsive reaction as a wild, untamed horse. It charges ahead, fueled by raw emotion, anger, fear, or frustration, often leading us down a path of regret. You may have been there before, saying or doing things in the heat of the moment that you wish you could take back. The Stoics invite us to cultivate emotional discipline, not to suppress these wild horses of emotions, but to tame them and master them. For when we allow emotions to control us, we lose our rational perspective and become slaves to transient feelings. The Roman Stoic philosopher Seneca once wisely observed, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." Our emotional overreactions often stem from a distorted perception of events. A molehill becomes a mountain. Something minor occurs, a misplaced word, a forgotten task, and suddenly in our minds, it becomes an insurmountable problem. But when we manage to take a step back and evaluate the situation calmly and rationally, we realize that the mountain was indeed a molehill all along. The approach that Stoicism asks us to adopt is simple in theory, but challenging in practice. Pause. Instead of letting your emotions seize the reins, take a step back. Allow yourself to breathe. Encourage your mind to think. Ask yourself, what is the best course of action in this situation? You'll find that when you respond with reason rather than emotion, you make decisions that, upon reflection, you won't regret. Avoiding emotional overreactions doesn't mean suppressing your feelings. Stoics did not advocate for becoming emotionless automatons. Rather, they believed in responding thoughtfully and with intention, instead of being swept away by fleeting feelings. Here's a practical tip. The next time you feel the heat of anger or the stirrings of frustration, try this Stoic technique. Count to 10 before reacting. Use those seconds to breathe deeply and ask yourself, what's the most rational way to handle this? With time and practice, this strategy will help you build emotional resilience, a valuable tool in navigating life's storms. Stop clinging to material possessions. Ever felt that gnawing worry when your phone breaks or your car needs repairs? That momentary panic comes from a simple truth: we're too attached to our stuff. In today's world, we're encouraged to buy more, own more, and achieve more. Holding steadfast can indeed be a daunting task. However, Stoicism imparts a valuable lesson about materialism. It instructs us that an unhealthy attachment to material possessions paves the way for anxiety and discontentment. Epictetus put it simply, wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants. The more we cling to material things, the more we open ourselves up to anxiety, What if we lose them? What if they're taken away? The Stoics understood that attachment to possessions breeds fear and suffering, as we often tie our sense of self-worth and happiness to them. There was a man who once lost his expensive watch. For days, his mood was ruined. It wasn't the watch itself, but the attachment he had to it, the belief that it symbolized his success. What he didn't realize was that his worth wasn't tied to that watch, and losing it diminished him in any way. Stoicism doesn't teach us to live as ascetics, but we should recognize that our possessions are temporary and ultimately unimportant in the grand scheme of things. Our happiness should never depend on something external, because external things are fragile and fleeting. When we cling to material possessions, we also risk losing sight of what really matters: our character, our relationships, our virtues. These are the things that no one can take away from us. They are the true sources of lasting contentment. So, it's essential to take a step back and reassess our relationship with our belongings. Consider the items you own. Are they serving you, or are you serving them? Are they enhancing your life, or causing unnecessary stress? This self-reflection can be a powerful tool in shifting our perspective from materialism towards a more fulfilling, stoic way of life. Here's a practical tip. The next time you're tempted to make a purchase, pause and ask yourself, is this item necessary for me? Will this contribute to my long-term happiness? Reflect on whether your attachment to material possessions is clouding your judgment or diverting your focus from what genuinely matters. Let's not forget that material belongings are simply tools. They should serve us, not rule us. Eliminate procrastination. I'll do it tomorrow. How many times have you said that to yourself, convincing yourself that tomorrow would be the perfect time to start, whether it was a project, a workout, or even a difficult conversation, but the tomorrow never comes. Procrastination is something we all struggle with from time to time, but from a Stoic perspective, it's more than just about habit. It's a fundamental obstacle to living a virtuous and purposeful life. One of the key lessons in Stoicism is the value of time, which emphasizes the importance of taking action. Seneca famously wrote, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it." When we procrastinate, we're often avoiding discomfort, whether it's the fear of failure or the difficulty of a task. But Stoicism teaches us to face discomfort head-on. Avoiding challenges only postpones the inevitable. And the longer we wait, the more difficult it becomes. Procrastination robs us of our momentum, our discipline, and ultimately our potential. Stoicism is deeply rooted in action. The Stoics believe that we should focus on what's within our control and take responsibility for our own lives. When you procrastinate, you give up that control. You allow fear or laziness to dictate your actions, rather than taking charge and doing what needs to be done. Here's a practical tip. Start small. Break tasks into manageable steps and commit to taking action, even if it's just for a few minutes. Remember, progress is progress, no matter how small, and every small step forward is a victory over procrastination. By practicing self-discipline, you'll build the momentum needed to conquer procrastination and achieve your goals. Adopting Stoicism isn't just about learning new techniques, it's about unlearning habits that no longer serve us. By letting go of these 5 things, worrying about external opinions, complaining, emotional overreactions, clinging to material possessions, and procrastination, you'll clear the path to a life of inner peace, resilience, and virtue. Thank you for watching Endure Mindset. If you found this video helpful, please like and subscribe for more Stoic wisdom. And remember, whatever challenges you face, endure and overcome.